Hi, I'm Mark Westcott.
And I'm Sarah Cox.
Welcome to the Power of Great Questions. And today, Sarah, it's my turn to interview you. I've been looking forward to this to actually ask you what your favourite questions are, and to share with the audience what it is that you ask people that garners the greatest response and helps people make their greatest progress. But first of all, do you want to just talk about what it is that you're doing at the moment that's creating great value for people?
I thought you'd never ask. I've got a coaching business, Sustainable Transformations, and I do personal coaching, which I thoroughly enjoy and have a great passion for that. So that's customised coaching for individuals to take them to their healthiest, happiest and best selves. I also have written programs for companies and businesses to do the same, really, and because I think the basis of people doing really well in life is to be in their prime, their absolute prime. So if you can start the day in your prime, then whatever comes to you, you're resilient, and you can work through any challenge or obstacle and be your best self, whether it's professionally or personally, and that's across life in general. And it gives, I think, the best possible life that you can possibly live.
Fantastic. You've actually created and trademarked your 5 daily disciplines. Do you want to share what those 5 daily disciplines are and why they're so important, and how much difference they've made in the lives of the people that you're working with?
Sure, Mark. So 5 daily disciplines. The first one is breathing. So waking up in the morning and actually breathing. We think that we breathe all the time. Well, we do. Yet having deep breaths is oxygenating the body. To start with, when we're lying flat on our beds in sleep, then we need to oxygenate the cells. So that's the start.
I guess, if I may cut in, I guess if we don't breathe, we don't wake up. But it's a different type of breathing, right?
Yeah, so just 10 deep breaths, doesn't take long. And that also puts you into the moment, engages you into the present moment. So before you even start your day, rather than rushing ahead like we mainly do, jumping in the shower, having breakfast, starting to think about our day and all the problems or not the problems, but thinking ahead, it keeps us in the present moment, which is our most intelligent, creative person. And it also keeps us in our most calm and compassionate state. So that's what breathing tends to do with the body, and it connects the mind and body. And there's a saying in South America, letting your soul catch up. And I think that's what it's doing. It's just integrating yourself before you start the day.
I've actually been practicing these 5 daily disciplines since you told me about them. And for me, when you first said breathing was the first one, I kind of laughed a little, but I've got to say that what it does, very hard to think about anything else when you're actually focusing on proper breathing technique.
Yeah, that's right. So it's the matter of focus, and it's the first step of meditation, because if you focus on the breath, and you need to be present before you start meditating. And that brings me to the second daily discipline, which is meditation. And meditation is an Eastern philosophy. It comes from Eastern philosophy, and it's a practice that we do. So we spend time just focusing. So that's the main thing of meditation. It's nothing complicated, except that it brings us back to focusing. It recalibrates the brain so that we start the day in the best brain waves possible, rather than rushing ahead and going into the high beta brain waves, which is high stress. We can stay in a very calm, compassionate state, and it keeps, and once again, it builds resilience in the morning.
That's great. What's an ideal time, Sarah? I mean, people are going to be listening to this or reading this and saying, well, I just haven't got time to do all this stuff. So, I mean, what's the shortest amount of time, and what's an ideal amount of time that you need to take with meditation? Okay,
so the fact that people think they don't have time, 1 hour of meditation is equivalent to 3 hours sleep. And if we practice 15 minutes of meditation every day, it just changes our lives considerably. Our bodies just respond immediately, and from a cellular point of view, that's what we're moving down to. It has so many incredible benefits. The best time to meditate is in the morning, because you're coming out of that deep delta sleep and you're moving into the brain waves, which is where you need to be for meditation. And meditation accesses the unconscious mind, so not only does it make us feel good and connect the mind and body so that we're better off for our day, it actually it solves problems. We can solve problems when we meditate, as does solving problems when we sleep. So meditation is the next rejuvenation process of apart from sleep. So once we do the breathing, then it's meditating for 15 minutes at least every day. And it's amazing how much time you gain from meditation, because it brings about focus, increases your intelligence, creativity, increases just the way your efficiency through the day, and it gives you time rather than stress takes away time.
So it slows down time, I think you said the other day. It slows down time and allows you to make better results. For people that haven't meditated before, I mean, one of the obvious things is like, how do I start meditating? So I don't need to tell people how important it is, because so many successful people in the world now meditate and give credit for meditation to the success that they've achieved. But if someone hasn't meditated before, I mean, guided meditation, for example, is that a good way to start?
There's about 23 styles of meditation, and guided meditation is good because it's something to focus on. We have so much mental chatter in our minds, and sometimes we can't turn it off. And so if you can focus on someone's voice or music, everyone's so different. You've got to find the way that you feel most comfortable meditating, but guided meditation certainly is a really good way. And when you said it slows down time, what we need to do is slow down, and that increases our thinking. So we often think that if we speed up, we increase our thinking. Well, it slows down the thinking. So meditation, if you slow down, you increase your efficiency of thinking.
You could actually talk for a whole day on meditation, so maybe we'll go on to the third one, but before we do, meditation really is a key part to the whole thing, isn't it?
I think so. If you did nothing else but meditated, your life would certainly just exponentially increase and get better and happier and healthier.
Yeah, and I can vouch from that, from the limited time that I've been doing it since you recommended it, and it's certainly changing my life. So number 3, what's number 3? Sarah, keep going. You're doing a great job.
So number 3 is gratitude. Finding things that you're thankful for. And we now know with biochemically that gratitude increases the serotonin of the brain, as does meditation. It brings out, and the other thing is oxytocin. So gratitude is just feeling thankful, feeling grateful for where you are in life. And if you can come up with 3 things every morning that you're grateful for, then it will bring you to a much higher self and a happier self. And you can use gratitude in your meditation, so it doesn't have to be separate, but it's one of those things that for the start of the day it just really, really makes a difference, personally and professionally.
Gratitude is really important, and I talked about that recently at a workshop I was running, and there was the first question I asked in the day, you might remember, was, what are you most grateful for today? And the whole mood of the room changed immediately, didn't it? As soon as they started thinking about what they were grateful for, people immediately go into a different state. So This is 3 really good ones so far. What's the 4th one?
Yeah, so gratitude puts you in your highest emotional state, as does meditation. Next thing, talking about states, is exercise. And we all know that exercise is really good for our bodies and our minds. Now it's been proven that half an hour of exercise prevents Alzheimer's and dementia. So exercise just gets the blood pumping around the body, and it starts it gives you endorphins, serotonin, and all the good hormones to start you in a good emotional state.
And number 5.
Number five. Okay, I was waiting for you to ask me.
There's no questions to ask in regard to exercise. I mean, I think everyone realises that it's such an important part of every day, but it's making the time, isn't it? And I think a lot of the more recent studies have shown that you don't need to run 500 miles, you don't need to do a marathon every day. It's really, as long as you get in there and do some really significant short bursts of exercise, that's going to make the most difference. So
yes, and even 15 minutes to half an hour exercise every day. And then is stretching, because what stretching does is exercise contracts the body, contracts the muscles, and stretching elongates your muscles. And as we're sitting at computers more and more now, we're contracting our bodies. We're not expanding our bodies. And this is something that's very, very important, and sometimes people miss out on stretching.
Stretching is very important, yes. And so you've created this little package of 5 daily disciplines which you utilise in all your coaching programs, and the people that utilise these, they just really have reported back, I suppose you should say, what a difference it's made in their lives. And it all sounds so simple, but I think it just proves the point, sometimes the simplest things in life, if you just do them on a repeated basis, are the things that are going to make the greatest progress. So that's, sorry?
No, I was going to say it's all in the habits. So it comes down to what good rituals that you can create, what good habits, removing the bad habits and replacing them with good habits. And that's the hard part.
Yeah, that's right, changing habits. Which kind of leads us right now to, Sarah, what you're doing at the moment in regard to your corporate coaching, what you're doing in regard to the one-on-one coaching. I mean, the results people are getting from that are fantastic, and I mean, I've been witness to some of the workshops you've run and so on, and I commend you on the results that you are getting. But the key to it is, and the key to this book, as we know, is what are the great questions that you ask. And I know you've got 3 really good questions that you ask people early in the process with your personal coaching and so on. So here's your opportunity. Can you please tell us what your number 1 question is, or not number 1 necessarily in terms of importance, but what are the 3 questions you ask in any order you like?
Can I just talk about questions?
Absolutely, I'd love you to, because that's what the book's all about.
Okay, so I believe asking powerful questions is really the key to coaching and key to people's change, because what you're doing is you're helping people and supporting people coming up with their own mechanism of change. If you tell people or advise people, they're not able to work it out for themselves and unravel the unconscious mind. So a powerful question, the unconscious mind can't ignore. And that's the thing about coaching and the programs that I run. It's all trying to create people being their best selves. And so my first question, because we're only allowed 3 or 4, I think, and so I asked many questions.
I should go on record that Sarah wanted 20 included in this chapter, but we're just going to 3.
Yeah. So what in life gives you the most sustainable satisfaction and joy?
Great question. And I would imagine that most people don't answer that very quickly. They have to think about it to a certain extent, because a lot of things give us joy and satisfaction in life, and I imagine you have to think deeply about that to actually come up with the one thing.
Well, my question isn't just the one thing. I think there's many things that give us satisfaction and joy, but if we can implement those things that give us sustainable satisfaction and joy, and that's what I'm all about, sustainability, because we can have momentary pleasures, but yet they don't lead us to a satisfactory life or ultimate happiness. So it's sustainable joy and sustainable satisfaction that I think that if people can write a book and write down everything that creates sustainable satisfaction and joy, then they will move towards their purpose and their vision. And then the next questions that I'm going to ask as well.
Okay, keep going, you're on a roll.
So what would your life look like if you lived from your highest constructive emotional states and communicated from these states? Example: love, truth, compassion, enthusiasm, motivation and joy. And I'll just repeat those. So love, truth, compassion, enthusiasm, motivation and joy. Okay,
that's a great question. And tell me about the responses you get from that question.
Okay, so because we can move into destructive emotional states at any time, and what does that do to our communication and relating to others in the world? And so this question is really around self-awareness and how we impact on the world. And if we're the quality, I believe, of our emotions and the quality of our communication dictates the quality of our life. So that this question, if you can ask yourself, if you can live from these states and how do we get there, is another. We need a full program for this, and that's
Okay.
a coaching program.
But Sarah, what you're talking about here really is the power of the communication, isn't it? I mean, we're talking in this about the power of great questions, but I mean, communication really is about, in a lot of cases, questions anyway. So learning how to communicate better, and I mean, I know you've been using this a lot in your workshops and giving me some help in regard to the questions that I ask and so on. Communication, it's really the fundamental, isn't it?
Yeah, well, communication is exchange of any information through, and what's behind the information, what's the emotions behind the information. Because, as I said, the quality of our emotional state dictates our life. If we're in destructive emotions, then it affects our health, it affects our relationships, it affects the way we feel in life. And the way we feel in life is how we actually look at life.
Okay. We did some role playing the other day in one of your sustainable transformation workshops, and the most interesting thing in that we did some where we were communicated very well in front of the group, and then we did some where we were stonewalling each other and being condemning and so on. It was difficult for us because we knew what we were doing and we were laughing so much, but the audience could see quite obviously, couldn't they, the different communication styles and how important they are in regard to sustainable relationships as well. And I mean, that's the key to this. If you want to have a sustainable relationship, be it business or personal, you'd better be aware of the communication style that you're using with your partner or business client, whatever.
Yeah. And so I often say, are you defensive in your communication? Do you criticise? Do you condemn? Do you stonewall? These questions come up around communication, but they're all around our emotional states. So if we can stay in those emotional states, our communication with another person or people will be at our highest level, and that will give us our highest level of living and being.
Okay.
And that brings me to my next question.
Who am I to stop you now?
How would your life be if you engaged and were present in every moment, and every choice you made was leading you to your healthiest, happiest and best self?
Well, that's just the ideal, isn't it? You really you've nailed it with that question, because what you're saying is if you could do all of that, you'd absolutely be living the ideal life.
Yeah. And we can aim for this, because if we aim at a high standard, then we'll more or less get there. If you aim for the stars, you hit the moon, or you could hit the stars. But just being in the present moment.
A close star, right? Maybe a close star, not the far away one.
The thing with being engaged in the moment, you're connecting with life itself. And therefore, if you've ever been in communication with someone and they're on their phone, they're texting and they're sort of half engaged and looking away, then you feel it, and that has a ripple effect in your own life, because not only are you not there, you're thinking about the past or worried about the future, you're actually not living your life. And so I feel personally and professionally, to be focused in and engaged in the moment. You can be focused and engaged in the moment and be planning for the future, yet you're actually getting the most out of and most benefit out of life.
I want you to know I'm very present and engaged at the moment, just in case you ask me a question, so I'm really paying attention to everything that you're saying. You have another question. I know you've got the bonus question in here as well, so what's your fourth one?
The bonus question is more around the future. So have you created a purpose and a vision for your future, personally and professionally?
That's very good. And if we come back to some work we did recently, vision is very much about corporate standards and so on, isn't it? Like they want a turnover of so much money, or they want to live in a certain house, or they want to... it's the kind of measurable things. They're usually financial and they're usually selfish more so, aren't they? Whereas a purpose is more about what you're doing for the world, isn't it, in a lot of ways? And so there's a great distinction between those words, purpose and vision. Do you want to talk a bit about how you see that?
So I see it as growth and contribution. You know, how can we grow to be our best selves? Because it's obviously going to benefit everyone we come into contact in our business, and also personally in our life. So when you come up with a purpose, it can be material, but it's really who can you be as your best self. And so what are you contributing? What are you giving back? What are your unique gifts that you're giving away? And how can you create value in the life and make a difference in business? Your vision is your imagination. I've come up with a mind expansion tool, which is attention, intention, and imagination. So attention is the focus and the direction and the influence. Intention is how loud is your intention for changing habits, moving forward, and what is your imagination, which is the vision. What are you moving towards? And that's actually direction and influence of why we make choices along the way. So that's a tool that I often sort of hone into, and that then people can come up with a vision.
Fantastic. Sarah, the questions that you've gone through today are fantastic and very deep, and I love the enthusiasm with which you ask them. I mean, you have so many other great questions that you use in your coaching program, but I thought it was worthwhile throwing in the 5 daily disciplines first, because I think they're such great habits that people could utilise, and they're so easy to do, and it'd be a great way to kick off each day for people, and it's really simple. In regard to what you're doing now in your personal coaching and your business coaching, what's your vision for what you're currently doing? Have you got your own vision for 5 years from now, where you'd like to be, what you'd like to be doing, and the sorts of people you'd like to be coaching, and so on?
Okay, so I'd like to move globally and share as much of this as possible with anybody I come in contact. My workshops, which is around rewiring the brain, emotional state change, meditation and mindfulness, I'm sharing with just the general public. And then in business, I really have a vision to move into businesses and share this, because I really do think it's the thing that's going to make the most impact for change. And we're living in such a fast-moving technical society where stress is just massive, and people are being affected every single day with stress, and their families are being affected, their health is being affected, and they don't even realise it. Then they're ignoring their bodies, and we're moving away from being more aware, and we're moving into just such a virtual world. And I suppose that's where my vision lies, to help businesses and just move in a bigger and better way. My personal vision is it's around the 5 senses, and I can imagine myself in a position, and the sun's going down, and I'm dressed in what I'm dressed in, which is white, and I have a group of people, quite a crowd surrounding me. There's a soft wind blowing, and I can smell the smell of the trees and hear the birds, and I don't know where it is. It doesn't really matter. And this vision it's more of a purpose vision, because it's not around how big my house is going to be, what car I drive, because I know I'll live in a beautiful house, and I know I live somewhere beautiful, and I know I'll have a car. so those things are immaterial to the fact that my contribution in the world is such that I want to make a difference.
Fantastic. Sarah, thanks for your time today. It's always a pleasure speaking with you, and I've watched and witnessed firsthand the lives of people that you're changing right now, the people who are in your personal coaching program, and some of the corporate clients you've been working with, and I've got to give you credit for the transformation you're making in those lives, and transformation is such an important word, so congratulations on what you're doing. Thank you for your time today, and as usual, keep working on the power of great questions. Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you.